Hello, and thank you everybody for joining our webinar today, which is the first in a series of what we're calling our Marketing Motivation webinars. My business partner, Christy Gusick, and I are going to be alternating. So one month you'll hear from Christy, the next month you'll hear from me. So it is my pleasure at this time to introduce you to Christy Gusick. Christy has worked with me as a business partner, and she's currently providing exceptional coaching services, training services. We do speaking across the country, and Christy is just simply a sales and marketing expert, so you're in for a treat. She has a very extensive professional network and uses it on behalf of our clients all the time. The root of Christy's background is as a financial services entrepreneur, and as you can see, she has an undergraduate degree in human development and counseling, so she's exceptional as a motivational coach and trainer. She is a graduate of a program locally and nationally, and it's the Slattery Sales Boot Camp. And so Christy has exceptional skills in this area, and it is with pleasure that I turn this call over to Christy. Christy.
Thank you, Terry. First of all, want to apologize for my voice. I have become victim of a spring virus of some sort. The good news is that I'm feeling much better today than I was over the weekend. So with the exception of my voice, I'm actually doing pretty well today. So bear with me on that. Anyways, before we get started, I would like to just go through a few housekeeping items. And because I know many of you will just hear blah, blah, blah while I'm doing this, I couldn't resist this cartoon. And it kind of appealed to me because tonight I am taking my 11-year-old to her first 4-H dog obedience class tonight with our little dog Shelby. And I thought this cartoon was applicable because I'm sure this is what our dog will be hearing from Casey during her dog obedience class. Anyways, I wanted to let you know that during our presentation today, we will be talking about a few tools that you might find handy to have. So we will be sharing those or giving the option to you to have those sent to you at the end of the presentation. You will also see at the end of the presentation that we will be giving you the option to fill out an evaluation to critique us on this presentation and request any free tools or a copy of the presentation. So feel free to complete that evaluation. Also, during the presentation today, you will find that we're going to share with you 2 polls because we love your feedback on some of the things we're talking about. And then also, you will have a chance at the end of the webinar today to sign up for, or have us sign you up for more webinars that we're doing this year. That is the end of my housekeeping. So quickly, I just want to share with you what we're going to be talking about today. So first, I'm going to define a sales pipeline system. I know many of you don't know what a sales pipeline is or haven't heard that term before, so I'm going to tell you what that means. Secondly, I'm going to break down the sales process so that you'll know what you should be tracking in your sales pipeline system. Third, I will talk about different possible sales tracking systems you can use. And fourth, we'll talk about why you want to use a sales tracking system. And lastly, I will share with you some steps for success that you can take after our webinar to help you get going with all of this. So first, what we want to do is start off with a poll. So you'll find on your screen here momentarily, the poll will show up. We'll launch that for you. And we're going to ask you, are you currently utilizing any type of system to track your sales or new business development efforts? And yes, we're getting all kinds of responses here, so thank you everyone for being willing to share. And I hope you don't mind me put the kind of in there because I think many of you may fall into the kind of tracking your sales efforts area. And as we're watching things come in, we're going to give it a few more seconds. Pretty much everybody's voted. And we're going to go ahead and close that and share the results with you. And it looks like it's pretty evenly distributed, which is great. So 33% of you are currently tracking your efforts. Congratulations. It's great to hear. And 33% of you are not, and 33% of you said kind of. Wow, that's interesting. So this ought to be a fun conversation for us. Also, you know, I do want to rewind. I forgot something in our housekeeping items. You do have an opportunity to ask a question on your screen in the chat section. So if you do have a question or a comment throughout the presentation today, please feel free to submit that through chat, because Terry will be managing that. That's the benefit of having a business partner. She can take care of your questions and hand those off to me. So first, the sales pipeline. What is a sales pipeline? For some of you, this may be review, but for others of you, I'm going to explain it. So the almighty sales pipeline. You can't successfully have a clear view of your sales or new business opportunities without a sales pipeline. So if you're currently happy with your sales performance, congratulations. Maybe you have successfully managed the sales pipeline, or maybe you just don't need it. However, the majority of us do find that our sales efforts do need improvement. So a sales pipeline system can help show you where you can improve your new business efforts and where some gaps are, and help you identify some patterns that will help you better reach your sales goals. So just kind of reading through it, it's a business development tool used to organize your sales effort, and we are going to talk through many different options today that you can use to do that. It's a visual framework, so it's something that you're going to have visually that will help you track your new business efforts. And it helps establish a system or a process to your approach of selling your services. And finally, it's an organized, more or less visual funnel with multiple stages. We're going to talk about those stages next in the sales process, because that is essentially what you're going to be tracking in your pipeline, is the process of the sale. So first, at the bottom, you'll see that there's the suspect. And that's somebody that, and actually, you know what, I'm going to define these in more detail on the next page, but let me just briefly show this to you, because you're going to start at the bottom and work your way to the top from suspect or target all the way through to a new client. But so essentially, you will start with a suspect, move up through prospect, qualifying them, providing a solution, or giving them a proposal, and then hopefully winning them over as a new client. One thing you need to know for the remainder of this webinar, we will talk about somebody that is in this process anywhere as either a sales opportunity or an opportunity. So when you hear me say opportunity, you will know that I'm referring to someone that is in this process somewhere that you have identified. Okay, here is the definition of each of those areas. So a suspect, someone that we would like to target or talk to about our business, but we've not yet made contact with them. I know for a lot of our coaching clients, they often have, prospects or people, not prospects, suspects, people that they'd like to work with. And maybe we want to strategize on how we can get in front of them, or, target them with our marketing and sales efforts. That would be a suspect. So a prospect is someone we have talked to about our business, and we know that they're interested in our services. They may not be ready to buy your services yet, but at least there's some sort of interest. So as soon as you talk to them, move them from being a suspect into being a prospect. Next, you're going to want to assess the needs and qualify them. So we have determined that they have needs or concerns, and that what they have a concern about is something we can help them with, and we have qualified them as a good fit for our business. Again, with our clients, that qualifying piece is essential, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later in the presentation today. But just because somebody breathes and might have some money to spend doesn't necessarily mean that they are somebody you want to submit a proposal to, because that proposal process, as we all know, is very expensive and time-consuming. So that qualifying stage is essential. So lastly, in the blue area, is proposal submitted. It's where we've assessed their needs and submitted a proposal of our work. Now we can help fix their concerns or address their needs. All right. 4 sales tracking options. Let's talk through these options. First, before we do, forgot about this, we want to hear from you all about how you are currently tracking your sales efforts. So for those 33%, or I guess I could say 66% of you that are tracking your efforts, please indicate whether you are tracking with a notepad, note cards, or some kind of paper, file folders, spreadsheet, or a CRM. And for those of you that aren't yet tracking yours, maybe indicate what you think sounds like a way to get started. Good. Appreciate everybody that's responding. I'm going to take a moment here to sip some tea. Okay. Looks like we have over 90% of you all have responded. So we'll go ahead and close that. And it looks like, good, about 60% of you almost are tracking via spreadsheet, 22% with a CRM. And for those of you that don't know what a CRM is, we'll explain that here in a moment. And then was it 7%, Terry? Looks like 7% said you don't really know. So good. Thank you for responding to that. That gives us an idea of where everybody's at. So the first way, there's 4 ways we're going to talk about. The first way that you can track your business development or sales efforts in a sales pipeline is actually on paper. So you can do it with paper, like a notepad or an index card or anything like that. And don't mock this way. I know there's some of you that might be rolling your eyes. But for those of you that aren't tracking your sales efforts at all, this is a great way to get started. If you have to just use a legal pad or index cards, and I put the colored index cards on there because literally you can use colors and indicate which color is suspect, prospect, assessing needs, or what stage they're in by color. Or you can section it off on a piece of paper. It doesn't matter. It's better than nothing. So that is a great way to start before you do anything else. There's a lot of people that use file folders. It's a very popular and efficient way to track your opportunities. It enables you also to keep any relevant information on each person or company all in one place. So when you have their business card, you know, some people I know staple business cards right inside their file folders. And again, I put colors in here because you can indicate a color for the stage. You can use a separate place on your desk for suspects, prospects, proposals submitted, you know, different things like that. That's actually been something I've done in the past is different spots on my desk mean different things. Or, you know, I separated where I held the folders. But whatever you do, again, it's about that process. And Terry and I are big on processes. I don't know if you've read the E-Myth for attorneys, E-Myth for financial advisors. But again, if you want to create a business that outlives you and so you can retire someday, it's all about the process. So this is a great way to get started with the process, which is with your file folders. Okay, spreadsheets. This is a golden opportunity right here, and this is something we will offer to you. I do need to credit the original source for this, which is Terry Slattery from the Slattery Sales Group. This is a system that he gave me when I went to his sales boot camp a few years ago. I have changed it and modified it a little bit, and when you get this, we'll send it to you in the Excel format. Feel free to adapt it to your business as well. But I want to show this, and I'm going to start on the left side and kind of talk through it because this is a very essential tool. One moment here. Excuse me. Okay. The left column, farthest to the left, says S-P-C. Now you can see at the bottom, I have put S, so that's, again, your suspect. And I should have changed that. I apologize. That's somebody you actually have not made contact. Not made contact, not found any pain. So I'll adjust that before I send it out to you all. P, somebody that you have talked to and you have found their pain. And then C is new client. Now, the next thing you're going to put on the next column over to the right is date. That is important because we want the date that they first came into your system. And we want that because essentially you're going to want to track the length of time for a sale. So that is from when they first enter your system to when you actually close them over on the far right, because that will help you assess the time to close. That's a return on investment item we'll talk about later, metrics we'll talk about later in the presentation. The name, that's the name of the person that you are working with or talking to at a company. Sometimes that might be two people, but just make sure you have the person's name indicated in there, because occasionally people come into your system and they're not ready to buy yet, and maybe you need to reach back out to them 6 months from now, and you don't want to forget their name. I know that sounds dumb, but I know we've all done that. Source, where did that person come from? And this is very important. Helps you track the ROI on your business development and marketing efforts if you can identify the source of your business. Also, it gives you an opportunity to make sure you thank anybody that's sending you referrals, because nobody's going to want to keep sending you referrals if you're not acknowledging that. Next, company. After that, interested products or services. I think the majority of the people on the phone with us here today on the call are selling themselves and their services. However, if you are a product person, there's an opportunity for you to put that in there as well. The yellow highlighted areas are things that Terry Slattery taught us in Sales Boot Camp. And I know many of you have not probably gone through this, but I want to just bring these areas to your attention, because this is part of your qualifying process as you are trying to determine if somebody is worthy of being your client. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way. I literally mean that you need to uncover all these things before you actually submit a proposal. And sometimes we forget, but having this on your tracking sheet will really help you determine if somebody, one, really has enough pain to warrant you doing a proposal for them. I know we've all been there where somebody runs us, says, hey, can you throw me a proposal on that? And really, they're just saying that because they don't know how to tell you they're not interested in your services. So we really have to determine if they ask them enough questions to see if they have pains. Second, give them, feel them out to see if they really have the money to pay for your services, what their budget is, what their expectations are. Don't give them a proposal if your proposal is going to be for $75,000 when they only have $5,000. You need to kind of find that out. Decision-making process identified. So we need to know who the decision maker is and what their process is for making decisions. If you're a financial advisor, it's great to clarify, in your family, what is the typical decision-making process, or how do you two usually make decisions? And ask them to describe that, because it might be the person that really makes the call might be the wife that hasn't said 2 words in the whole meeting. Or if it's a company that you're targeting, you need to know who really and how they're going to make the decision. So those are great things to find out. And then finally, unveil your competition. A good way to ask what your competition is to say, would it be okay if I ask you who else you're talking to about your services or about these needs? So make sure, if you can, you find your competition, because that can really help you as you're creating your proposal or your response to their RFP. There's a spot next to determine if you have, just write down if you've sent them a proposal. This proposal delivered. You can change that wording to whatever you want. And then current points. Essentially, your current points are going to be those areas in yellow. So if you only have 60 points, like that first person, I'm a prospect, then there are areas that you need to follow through on before you actually submit a proposal. And then revenue, net forecast, close date, and date of last update. I actually, on one of my sheets like this, I put a next step spot, so it's not on this one, but again, that's a way you can customize your spreadsheet should you decide to use one. Another thing I want to tell you about this spreadsheet is that if this spreadsheet is filled out completely or mostly completely, almost completed, this is actually a spreadsheet that you can take to your banker for purposes of forecasting future revenue. So if you need a business loan and they're wondering what your future revenue is, this spreadsheet can and has, in my experience, been utilized for that purpose. So this is a great tool. And again, you will have an opportunity to indicate if you want us to send that at the end. Okay, CRM. CRM stands for Customer Relationship Management System, and commonly referred to as CRM. It's a model, and just to read through this, a model for managing a company's interactions with current and future clients. It involves using technology to organize, automate, and synchronize your sales, marketing, customer service, and technical support. I'd put on here some of the most common CRMs that we hear about or our clients are using or we're using. The one that we personally use right now is called HighRise at the bottom, and it's a cloud-based, which means it's, well, I think everybody knows what cloud-based is. It is a monthly subscription. I think it costs us $24.95 per month, and it allows us to organize our database and track where people are in the sales system. Another one that is good is Pipeline Deals if you're looking to stay on the lower end of the cost spectrum. And Pipeline Deals is actually, I think, a little bit more affordable than HighRise. Now, if you are looking for something that is more sophisticated or more curtailed to your industry, you may want to look at some of these other ones, like Salesforce is very sophisticated for general sales opportunities. JUNXURE and Redtail are more specific to financial services industries. Your firm may have something that is customized to you, but if not, or if you're more of an individual, some of these base Pipeline Deals and HighRise and Sales Tracker might be things that you can research. So anyways, just wanted to give you some example for you. By the way, Terry and I do use HighRise, but we also use that spreadsheet. And we actually rely on the spreadsheet more because, and not that it's necessarily better, but it really does condense things and makes it so quick and easy to manage and to see. We actually put ours up on Google Drive so that we can both see it at any point in time from wherever we are and talk through it on a weekly basis. Extremely helpful. Okay, next, reasons for tracking your sales efforts. Okay, the number one reason is metrics. Tracking your sales efforts will help you close more business over time. It's a fact. But if you do it over time consistently, it will also help you determine whether you are spending your marketing dollars wisely, which will save you money as well. So not only will tracking your sales efforts help you make more money, it will also help you save more money. And I'm talking even if you just do the file folder system. Here's some specific areas your sales and marketing efforts can help you with. And I'm going to talk through each one of these specifically. So one, like I talked about earlier, is it tells you the source of your new business. So this will help you track and recognize who and where your leads are coming from. And will also tell you then, based on that information, where you should market in the future. So just to give you an example of that, a few years ago when I was a financial advisor, I tracked my efforts, and I was able to determine that over a 2-year period of time, I had one main referral source, and which was a person who was an attorney, and then my other main source of new leads was an association. And so the association took a while to develop, but if I hadn't been tracking my leads, I might have thrown in the towel on that association because it didn't feel like I was making traction. But once I realized that the people that were sending me new business were actually from that association, it really helped me identify that that association was worth my time and money. Secondly, time to close. So it tells you how long it takes you to close certain business. You can learn from this where and what is the easiest to close and what type of business closes fastest. It also is going to help you determine your closing ratio and what business, again, is easiest to close. Maybe you can identify if you don't close some business, what maybe in that qualifying process you didn't ask and where you maybe missed out. So it will show you all that information. Third, it will also clearly indicate to you what kind of business you're closing. And again, what closes the fastest and brings you the most business. And what Terry and I are big about, really focus on, is helping people develop a niche. And so looking at some of that historical information as you're tracking it over time can help you see what a good niche might be to develop for you down the road. And fourth, and one of the biggest things is it really helps you quickly be able to see future revenue, how much money you really have, quote, out there, if you will. Typically, it's recommended that you have 3 times more potential revenue in your pipeline than what you want. So this will vary from person to person, depending on your average closing ratio. Some people, have a really, really high closing ratio, and other people are in a really competitive marketplace, and maybe your closing ratio isn't as high. So then you need to make sure you have more leads in your pipeline or opportunities in your pipeline. So you might want to have 4 times as much potential revenue in your pipeline as you'd like to actually have. But either way, you'll be able to clearly see how much revenue you have out there if you have a sales tracking system. So another reason you want to have it is it keeps you focused. It keeps you focused on the next step or steps you need to take with your opportunities. So we've all had those people that we've talked with who become a prospect. They're interested in working with us, but the timing just wasn't right for them at the time. And so they say, can you check back with me in 6 months or a year? And we're all excited because, we know that if we check back with them in 6 months or a year, it's going to be a great opportunity, but then we forget. And I know we've all been there, which is so frustrating when you find out 8 months later that they actually went with your competitor because you forgot about them and they forgot about you. That's awful. And so having a sales pipeline will hopefully keep that from happening. And I know we're never perfect, but it will greatly increase your odds. Especially if you're working with a coach or sharing your opportunities with your firm's marketing or business development director, you can then be discussing your next steps and strategizing with someone else what your next steps should be with your prospect. And that's one thing I love doing with my coaching clients, because it's hard sometimes to think, gosh, seems like I just talked to him last month, and what's my reason for getting back in front of him? And I love strategizing with my coaching clients. And if any of my coaching clients are on the call today, which I know there are, make sure that you remind me that I said that, because I love to do that with people. It's really fun. Okay, next, speaking of coaching clients, accountability and motivation is a huge reason to have a sales tracking system. The best way you're going to get better overall sales results is, 1, if you actually create the system, and 2, you have accountability and collaboration with another person around your system. So share your pipeline with someone, a group, a friend, a colleague, a coach, a marketing director. Remember when you're training for a marathon, if any of you have done that in the past, or some of us have done diets in the past, searching for a job when you've been in that job searching mode, it's always so motivating to share your progress with someone and have someone cheer you on and just be there for you. I'm such a strong personal believer in accountability and coaching because it's something that I've used throughout my life. Even as a child taking riding lessons, I've always had a coach. And so I've just found that it's an extremely valuable tool. So look for somebody in your network or in your firm that you can collaborate with on this and can help you get started and have some accountability around. Lastly, it is a great source of new business. Honestly, it's fabulous. So just to kind of go through the 5 things it can do, it can organize your sales process, give you a system around it, and help you stay efficient with your process instead of just trying to keep it all in your head and keeping you up at night. Secondly, it can help you get more out of your existing leads, and so you don't forget to make that follow-up call and lose that business. 3, this is a great thing, and Terry and I really have seen this work really well. Keeps you on the same page with team members, and I would say, almost scratch out team members and put practice area, attorneys or advisors or whatever there is in your firm or your company, but keeps everybody on the same page, helps you keep from getting stuck in a rut because somebody else may have a different idea on something, and it also lets people around you know that you're working it, you're trying, you're out there, doing the best you can, and sometimes we all just need that extra bump of encouragement. 4, again, better forecasting and planning. And when you are feeling like you need more money coming in the door, look at your sales pipeline. It really helps. And if there's not a lot in there, then you know you need to get moving. But maybe there's more in there than you even thought. So it's an extremely valuable tool that way. And 5, as I said earlier, creates a process that's repeatable and shareable for your firm. Okay, so lastly, and then we'd be happy to take some questions, is next suggested steps. So again, we talked about some ways you can track your sales, which are 1, paper, and again, don't mock it. If you're not doing anything, pull out your legal pad right now and start jotting down the people that you have going as targets or suspects, prospects, you know, and think about if you qualified them well or not. And if you've done a proposal, you know, that whole system. Or organize your file folders a little bit better. Get them organized in terms of your process. Next, the spreadsheet. And I put highly recommend because even if you have a CRM and are using it, I know probably 99% of you out there are not using your CRM to its full capability because it's hard to do. And so use the spreadsheet just because it's such a thorough system. Secondly, identify the people that are out there in your pipeline and make sure that you qualify them. And third, as a suggested next step, share your pipeline with someone. And I put some ideas down there for you. Just set a time on the calendar, meet with somebody. And even before I was in business with Terry, I had a networking colleague that and he was in business for himself, and I was kind of just, you know, trying to decide what I want to do next in my business career. And we agreed last summer to just meet on a weekly basis to talk about our process, or our progress with things. So it doesn't have to be anybody, you know, in your business. It just needs to be somebody. Get it going. You're obviously going to get the best results if you use a marketing coach like Terry or a marketing director from your firm or business development director from your firm. Those are probably going to be the best opportunities for you. But regardless, get it on the calendar. And ideally, I would suggest weekly. The most successful people are doing it weekly. However, you know, monthly is fine too. And so just get going with it. So that pretty much kind of closes it up. And we do have some questions. Yeah, and Terry's going to read through the questions. Hang on one second here.
Okay. I just wanted to remind all of you that in the chat feature, if you do have a question, you can complete it, and then we will respond to it. So I have a couple of questions that have come in thus far, and I'm going to read the question, and then I'm going to hand it back over to Christy so that she can respond. The first question is from Liz, and Liz's question is as follows. My company has 3 or 4 leads that are being recorded and tracked by consultants who are in charge of the sales. She wants to get them all streamlined and in one place. What would you recommend as a first step in doing this after you redefine the definition of a lead? So with that, I'm going to have Christy respond to that and invite you all to ask any question that you might have about your sales process. So Christy.
Hi, Liz, by the way. Great question, and I'm not sure I totally understand it, but I'm going to do my best to answer it. And if you don't feel that I've helped you, Liz, feel free to reach out after. I can give you a call after and follow up with you personally. We can talk through it. But the first thing I would do is probably, if I'm breaking it down into steps, I'd probably set a time on a regular basis, and maybe you've already done that, to meet with these people that are chasing these opportunities. Secondly, I'd choose a system and kind of educate them all on the system, or determine in collaboration with them what the system would be that you want to use. And again, it can be as simple as you maybe tracking the opportunity and asking for updates, or the opportunities and asking for updates from everybody. Or, I've even seen people do it where they go around the table and each person talks in your weekly meeting or bi-weekly or monthly meeting. Or you can put it on a whiteboard and in the meeting room. But whatever you do, set the meeting, have the conversation, and share your progress for that previous week or that previous month and talk about next steps. So that would be my first recommendation. A CRM would be good if everybody's on the CRM and you get training, but what we found is you have to make sure that there's buy-in from the leadership so that there's accountability around using that CRM. I've seen it where a firm might say or a company might say, okay, we're going to use Redtail, but then the leadership who said to use Redtail doesn't really embrace and actually use and allow or ensure consistent training. And so you might have a CRM, but nobody uses it. It's not going to help you. And that's why I go back to that spreadsheet option and having maybe, like I said, Terry and I put our spreadsheet on Google Drive. And so you could have a Google Drive and spreadsheet for your firm if you have nothing else.
Thanks, Christy. Okay, we have a question from Julia about sharing the slides that have the CRMs listed. And what I'd like to suggest all of you do is to make sure and complete. You have to stay on the call for a little bit longer, but make sure that you do stay on the call. And okay, Christy's going to go back and put that up there. But you have the ability to request a copy of the slides from us, and we will send them to you. The other thing we have the ability to do, since we have a few minutes if anyone is interested in doing this, is you'll notice that in your dashboard you have the ability to raise your hand. And what I can actually do is I can unmute you. So if somebody has a question for the group, for Christy, you can raise your hand electronically. I will call on you by unmuting you, and if anyone wants to ask a question that the group would also be interested in, feel free to do that. I see nobody brave enough so far to raise their hand and ask a question. Let's see. Okay, well with that, I'm going to turn the presentation back over to Christy just for some final comments. And again, please stay on the call long enough to complete the evaluation. One of the things that you'll be able to do is to identify, we have 5 other webinars scheduled between now and the end of the year. And if you identify the ones you're interested in, we can register you for those. So with that, I'm going to turn it back to Christy for some closing comments.
Well, thank you all for joining us today and for suffering through my scratchy voice here. But feel free to fill out the evaluation form if you have questions about different areas that are on there or any other feedback for us. So we look forward to getting those from you, and we will be reaching out with you later today and tomorrow, getting right on that. So thank you again for attending, and we look forward to having you back at another webinar with us